What's up, everybody? This is your boy TL. This is your Week 8 fantasy preview. This week I have 3 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 7 wide receivers, 5 tight ends, and 5 defenses I recommend. I know that's a lot, and it kind of surprised me, but that's how many guys pretty much are worthy of talking about. We'll start with the defense since that's the most boring. The 5 defenses I like this week are Carolina, Kansas City, San Francisco, Green Bay, and Seattle. Moving on to quarterbacks, there's only 3 that aren't no-brainers. I like Alex Smith this week, Terrell Pryor, and RG3. The reason for those 3, Alex Smith is playing the Browns. The Browns, they gave up 4 touchdowns to Stafford, then 3 to Rodgers. Granted, Alex Smith isn't either of those guys. But I think he is good enough to throw a couple, and that's good enough for fantasy. Terrell Pryor, they had a bye week, but the week before that he played very well. He's playing the Steelers this week at home. Steelers are kind of on an upswing right now, but I still don't think they're a very good defense. I think Pryor can put together some decent stats. And RG3 is starting to turn the corner a little bit. Thank God. I have him in a lot of leagues. This week he's playing Denver. And as you know, Denver scores a lot of points, so they get in a lot of shootouts. Denver's defense isn't very impressive to me at all, and so I think RG3 will have a good game. Moving on to running backs, there's 5 of those. This week I like D'Angelo Williams, Kendall Hunter, Chris Ivory, Roy Halou, and Zach Stacy. D'Angelo Williams just based on his matchup, basically. Kendall Hunter based on San Francisco is playing in Jacksonville. They're going to slaughter Jacksonville, and so Frank Gore will eventually come out of the game, and when they're running the ball to end the game, Hunter should be getting the carries. Ivory, I'm not sure if Powell got hurt for the Jets or what happened there, but I know that Ivory had like 30-plus carries. His average wasn't great, but he did go over 100 yards last week. So if he's going to be the guy going forward, obviously he's worth having because he's a starter. Roy Halou actually is the backup for Alfred Morris, but he managed to score 3 times last week, and I think that's a little taste of what he used to be in Washington. So I'm hoping that they keep giving him opportunities because he's a good back. And last but not least, Zach Stacy from the Rams. I'm not sure what's going on in their backfield. I'm not sure if Richardson was hurt or why just Zach Stacy was playing, but he put together pretty decent stats, especially for fantasy. He had a handful of rushing yards, handful of receiving yards, and a touchdown. So that equals a pretty solid fantasy day. If he continues to be the starter, I look for him to be worth a play. Moving on to receivers, the biggest group, 7 receivers. I liked what I saw last week. The biggest names being Harry Douglas and Boykin from the Packers. The other 5 are Greg Little, Floyd from Arizona, Hartline, Curley from the Jets, and Tate from Seattle. Douglas is kind of a no-brainer. Julio Jones went out for the season. He stepped in. He had a huge game. Touchdown, I think, around 160 yards receiving. So great start for him. He's not going to do that every week, but he will get looks from Matt Ryan. Boykin for the Packers. Obviously, Randall Cobb went out for the season, so he stepped in. Is he Randall Cobb? Of course he's not. Will he have 100 yards and a touchdown every week? No, he won't. But he will, I think, give you good enough stats. That he's a good plug, especially for those of you who lost Cobb for the year. Greg Little, the only reason that Greg Little is on this list is because Brandon Weeden likes Greg Little, and he throws him the ball a lot. So he gets a lot of targets. Obviously, targets equal stats. Same thing with Floyd. I know I made fun of him before, Arizona. I don't believe in Floyd necessarily. I don't believe in Carson Palmer. Absolutely not. But he did get a lot of targets. All these guys on this list have at least 7 targets coming out of last week. Hartline from Miami. The same thing. He had more targets than Wallace. So, it's just a numbers game. Curley from the Jets. I don't have any faith in him at all. They are really banged up at receiver. Santonio Holmes is out. Curley, if they have a number 1 receiver, it's him. So, take it for what it's worth. And last but not least, Tate from Seattle. It's kind of up and down. It's really hard to predict if he's going to produce or not, but when he does produce, it seems like he has a tendency to get in the end zone. So he's a decent play, especially with their matchup on Monday night. Moving on to tight ends, last but not least, there are 5 tight ends I like based on what I saw last week. Zach Miller, Brandon Pettigrew, Reed from Washington, Corliss from the Packers, and Jared Cook from St. Louis. Zach Miller, based on his targets, yeah, I think he had around 10 targets last week. That's a lot for tight end. Pettigrew had a pretty solid game. I think he scored last week. Reed, my boy Chip, actually picked up Reed and played him. Great game. He's kind of a breakout candidate. He had over 100 yards and a touchdown last week, and so he seems like a pretty solid play going forward. Corliss, unfortunately for me, I have Finley, and he's out, I think, 4 to 6 weeks. So if anybody were to take his slice of the pie, it would be Corliss. And Jared Cook, I'm pretty much playing him based on his matchup. Sam Bradford's out for the year. The Rams are not a very good team. They're going to be passing a lot, and I think Cook should get a lot of those looks. That's all I have for this week, guys. I hope I helped you in some way. For my fantasy last week, I think, I went 6-3, so not bad. I lost in my ESPN league, which is the only league. I'm undefeated in one league still. I think I'm in first place. Sorry. 1, 2, 3. I'm in first place in 3 leagues. The lowest place that I'm in is 6th in my league, the one I care about the most. So I'm in between, first to 6th in all my leagues. I'm doing pretty well. My worst record is 4-3, and obviously 7-0 is my best record. So halfway there for undefeated season. We'll see, but that's all I got for this week, guys. Go Browns. Good luck, and I'll talk to you next week.